So yeah, so like I said, modern Hebrew does borrow many phrases from other languages when it's necessary to produce a modern word. But in a way, the biblical language was somewhat similar to
And I know that the Hebrew alphabet contains 22 letters, right?
Correct.
And all of them could be used as numbers too.
Yes.
And when you count something, how do you count? How do you use? Is there a word for 1, 2, 3 like in English, or you actually use the letter that's the one alpha or aleph or whatever?
No, you would say so. There are names, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, actually a name written out in Hebrew too, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say if you say a phone number, let's say 911, how would you say in Hebrew?
You would say Teisha Echad Echad 911.
Okay.
But if you want to represent the number 9, you can't use a Hebrew letter, the 9th letter. Letter Tet.
And the letter 1, right? Yeah.
And the letter, it's not used like that. Actually, the Roman or not the Roman.
The Arabic number. Is more common. Everybody uses it. Yeah. Okay. Well, since is there any word that is given by God directly, or we might say maybe from an angel or extraterrestrial? I know you believe in extraterrestrial, so that will be our next question. How do you come to believe in extraterrestrial?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, we live in a society that believing in extraterrestrials until very recently has been a strong taboo.
Yes, we know that.
I still haven't quite figured out how it became a taboo, but I know why it became a taboo.
Okay.
It's because simply governments don't want people to start thinking they're extraterrestrials.
Okay.
Because that might
upset mostly the economic and religious belief, maybe.
Well, I think it's a little more political than religious.
Okay.
I don't think too many religious leaders have a problem with believing in UFOs. On the contrary, what is a UFO? It's an unidentified flying object.
Right.
It's something flying in the sky that we don't
know what it is.
A truly religious person is humble enough to understand that we don't know everything, and there's a lot that we don't know.
Right.
In certain areas of the scientific community, they want you to think that the scientists have it all under control and they know it all.
Yes.
We haven't begun to scratch the scratch of the scratch.
Yes.
When we're talking about understanding science and worlds, dimensions, we see 3 dimensions. We see up, down, right, left, backwards, and forwards.
Yes.
According to certain scientific theories, there are at least 10, 11, maybe 26 dimensions.
That many, huh?
At least.
In my show, I only mentioned up to the 7th. I didn't dare to go further than that.
There's M theory that requires 11 dimensions in order for it to operate.
Yeah.
Right? And these theories answer many questions in science that have gone unanswered. These theories are also backed by experiment in subatomic experimentation of
it's actually pretty accurate right now. I read something about that too. They are exploring all the dimensions of physicists right now.
Yeah.
How many there are and how do they categorize it, and it's fascinating.
Yes. So to answer your question, how did I come to this? Well, we live in a world that UFOs are taboo.
Yeah.
Belief in extraterrestrials is taboo. If we start believing in extraterrestrials, imagine what will happen to our governments. They'll collapse.
Yeah.
They don't want to collapse. They want to remain in control.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The scientific community, we might not have the faith in the scientific community who wants us to think that they know it all. That might begin to collapse. So I see how it becomes a taboo. But when you get to thinking logically, when we get to thinking logically, if you're a religious believer that has humility, well, you understand, one, we don't understand everything. We don't know everything.
Right.
There are things in the sky that people see that they just don't know what they are.
Exactly.
Don't tell me they're weather balloons.
Okay. It can't be that many.
Exactly. Weather balloons don't look like, flying saucers with little people.
Or 90-degree turns or anything like that, right? Yeah.
Okay. And weather balloons aren't like the Phoenix 1997 lights,
Oh, yes.
size of a football field.
Yes, yes, yeah.
How's that a weather balloon? Come on.
Exactly.
Even the governor of Arizona was
What did he say?
a little impressed with that particular.
So there was actually an object, and not like dots of light. They say where some government exercise far apart, that way out there. They had an explanation on Discovery Channel that
Of course.
that didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, their explanations rarely make sense.
Yeah.
They don't want the public to realize that there are things out there that we don't understand. But if
Right.
you're if you're a religious person,
Yeah.
you need to be humble enough to understand that we don't there are phenomena that we don't understand.
Right.
Now, the other thing is that if God created our little world, why shouldn't God have created other worlds? What makes
yes.
us the only world that He created?
Exactly.
We've got one planet Earth. Well, if God is a creator of life,
Yeah. Life could be anywhere. Huh?
yes, it seems only logical that life should be everywhere and anywhere.
Recently I've been meditating on this question of God and the universe and one Earth. The more I meditate on it, the less it makes sense that we are the only one. You know why? He even violates God's ethical principles. You want to hear that? Is that God always tells human being not to waste anything, right?
Right.
If He created a universe so big, would He be wasting space and not obeying His own commandment? If he only put one Earth in all these billions and billions of stars, but nobody else in it, makes no sense at all.
That's a good point.
That's my take on that.
Yeah. Well, so I got to thinking, and what was very interesting is in the Jewish religious communities, you don't really hear a lot about alien life.
Right. Normally, yeah.
The Jewish religious world doesn't concern itself with alien life.
Right.
However, I did at one point come across a text, 500-600-year-old text
Yes.
of one of the medieval rabbis of southern Spain
Okay.
who wrote on the topic.
Okay.
And this was before UFOs were. This wasn't in the 60s. This is like in the 1400s, the 1500s, and he spoke about alien life, and he spoke about other worlds. He spoke about parallel universes.
Really?
Yeah, and this was before there was such a thing
Concept,
as
even, yeah.
The theory of parallel universe. Yeah, the theory of parallel universes, I believe, was
At least the 20th century, I think, right?
1957.
Yeah.
Is when it was.
Everett, I think the multi-world interpretation of quantum physics. That's what I want to. Okay, that's the original official one. Yeah, people speculate about that in science fiction many years, but that's not real official, though. Yeah, this is official.
Right.
Yeah.
But in about the 1400s, I believe, there was a southern Spanish rabbi named Hasdai Crescas.
Okay.
Very well known.
Yeah.
He wrote many illustrious works on Jewish philosophy.
Interesting.
He writes about other worlds, and that's the
term
word
he used.
uses,
Yeah, other
worlds. Like whoever's other worlds theory.
Yeah.
And he writes about star people.
Wow.
Which is what we would.
He actually used those two words, right?
Yeah.
In Hebrew, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hebrew, which would be extraterrestrials.
How would you say star in Hebrew, by the way?
Star is kochav.
Kochav. Okay.
Anshe HaKochavim, the people of the stars.
Wow.
Something like that.
I love it.
To look at the text, I don't know if I'm exactly quoting you accurately, but it's something
I'll find it on Google.
to that effect. You might find that on Google, you might not. But he speaks of people being able to. Now remember, in the Middle Ages, stars and planets were synonymous.
Right.
They weren't talking about people living on an actual star.
Right.
Sun.
Not the sun, right?
Planets and stars were.
It's the same thing. It's a little dot we see in the sky.
Exactly,
That's it.
dots in the sky. So when they speak of star people, they really speak of people of other planets.
Right.
And he says they can be. He says there's no reason for there not to be life on other planets. Only they would be different to us. They would be perhaps humanoid, but not exactly identical to us, because there's other elements.
They have to adapt to their environment.
That they have to adapt to.
Pointed ears, like Mrs. Spock.
Exactly.
That sort of thing.
So I come across this idea in the Jewish text at the same time as I was already believing that why can't there be life everywhere?
Yeah.
And synchronistically, this information comes to me shortly after I start thinking that thought. Incidentally, I later discovered that I'm actually perhaps not a direct descendant, but I'm a descendant of this particular Rabbi Hasdai Kreskas, which that came to me later.
Really? Wow, I didn't know that. This is a revelation.
My grandmother on my father's side, it turns out her last name was Kreskas, but they later changed it. So this was all synchronistic.
Yes, it is. It is something that's meant to be, right?
Events. Absolutely.
Yeah.
These things don't happen by accident.
By chance, no. No such thing as, well, our ancestor Confucius says there's no such thing as a coincidence
Exactly.
in life.
Exactly. There's no such thing as a coincidence. When you open up your mind to something, more of it comes to you and more of the information starts coming to you. So, I started believing UFOs. I started reading stories of people who see UFOs. I started reading stories of people who
abducted.
I try to stay away from the abductions.
Oh, okay.
They're not too nice. Most of the stories I read are very nice stories about people who have contact with UFOs. Now, do I believe all of them? No. About 90% of them I don't believe. But there's probably a good 5 to 10% that are very, very strongly, highly believable.
Yeah.
Especially when they're coming from extremely credible people.
Okay.
I know that there's one story about the Prime Minister of one of the states of the Russian Federation, Kyrgyzstan. Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan disappeared for 3 days.
Really? Okay.
Once, yeah, he was under a high security surveillance. He's the Prime Minister.
Right, of course, yeah.
It's like if Obama disappears and his guards don't know where he went.
Right.
Okay? This is what happened to the Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan. Disappears out of his office or out of his bedroom.
Oh.
The security guards have no idea where he went.
That's strange.
For 3 days or so.
Wow.
Then he appears in his bedroom 3 days later.
Wow.
Where were you? Oh, I was on a spaceship with a...
He actually told him.
Yeah. So, when you have, very highly credible people, and I mean, that's one small example. There are astronauts who have openly spoken about UFOs.
Right.
Astronauts have to be the smartest, most educated people in the world.
Of course.
You ever look at what it takes to be an astronaut?
Wow.
There is nobody more educated than an astronaut.
Of course.
Okay, so there are 3 or 4 pretty well-known astronauts who have spoken openly about UFOs recently.
Recently, yeah.
And about aliens and about extraterrestrial life. We know there was a crash in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947.
Yes.
There are people who witnessed it.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Okay, continue.
So, I started reading more and more on the topic, and like I tell you, a lot of what you read is not necessarily believable, and people, because UFOs and extraterrestrials are such a hot topic, people like to put on stories that are not really true, but at the same token, there are very highly credible people, military officials, government officials from all over the world, and I mean all over the world. I mean, United States, Canada, Mexico, France, Iran, Israel, Russia. There's no exception.
In those other countries, it feels like it's not something that would benefit them to come out and say that, right? I mean, for the career, or is not for advertising, for promotion, selling a book or anything. So that makes no sense, for Chinese, especially 20 years ago when they were still under the real communist rule, right?
Yes.
There's nobody's benefiting from it financially. There's no reason for them to come out.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't know if you remember this, John. 2 years ago, I think it was 2010. There were 2 airports that had to close down in China.
Yes, I have those video. I mean, it's all over the internet. You can see it even now.
Right.
It was like so clear. It was a long. It was a UFO that's like kind of like a long dragon, you might say, appropriate for over there. Maybe it was a dragon. Maybe that was one of the UFO. Yeah. It's like a long thing. It's like cigar-shaped one, not the round craft one.
Yeah.
And it was light shining down, just like in the movies, like you would expect when God appears, that sort of thing. And it was closed down. It was. I mean, why would they close it down? For publicity,
Thousands of passengers lost their flights because these UFOs in the sky. Now, fortunately, the Chinese don't come out with
all kinds of stories.
Stories about weather balloons. Yeah, we had to close. We had to.
They just say there was something we don't know what it is, right?
They just say it's something we don't know what it is, and that's what an unidentified flying object is. It's a UFO.
And have you heard anything about it when the Chinese tried to go to the moon? They did orbit the moon recently. And there was some stuff that they found. There was all over the internet too. It looked like building or ruins of building, but it's still kind of unclear, of course, right? But that's now, some people are saying that they have more faith in the Chinese government discovering and announcing the extraterrestrial presence, because in atheism, that which they are officially, they have no qualms about other life in other planets, because that to them it's just evolution, right? So,
Yeah.
so that could be a factor in this,
Yeah.
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 And the Vatican, even recently I read that they're preparing for some kind of either contact, or you may say they established an office for extraterrestrial affair, which is strange. And in Canada too, yeah, they never did this before. It's like during which Pope, I forgot, was it the last one that just quit? That they start doing that, and Canada has a prime minister that also come out, or ex-defense minister that talks about UFO.
Yes.
You remember that, right? Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
recent. Yeah.
That was recent.
Very openly
So
spoke about it.
we can talk about it, but what I want to ask you before my battery runs out this time, so we have to continue the next episode, is that what's the connection with your theology concerning God, angels, demons, and UFO? How would you connect them? How would they fit into the picture of your theology?
Okay, well remember,
A worldview.
in Jewish traditional
yeah,
theology, we don't really believe in demons. Let's
Okay.
make that clear.
Okay.
Demons, according to the philosopher Maimonides, the Jewish philosopher,
Okay.
demons are just imaginary negative creatures,
Okay.
but they're really limited to the imagination.
Okay.
They're not really any product of the real world.
Okay. God did not create them, in other words.
No, man creates them through their negative thoughts.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But they're not autonomous beings.
Uh-huh.
As real as the world of imagination may be, they're not autonomous. They don't have their own power outside of the control.
In other words, they're not trying to get you, but you invented them because your negative thought project them out there, and seems like they're trying to get you, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
So now anytime you come across a demon in a traditional
right.
Jewish text, it's only a metaphor, or it's only a personification
I see.
of negative thinking, the negative thoughts of the world. Okay, this is the opinion of the philosopher Maimonides, and I'm a follower of.
Okay.
Of his.
Very famous philosopher in Jewish philosophy.
Yes. Okay. Now, I think it's possible that people have come across perhaps extraterrestrial beings
Okay.
or transdimensional beings
Right.
that look very strange,
Yes. Yeah.
and maybe they've classified that as a demon.
With the horns, especially. So our traditional understanding of
Pointy,
the devil. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is. Maybe they've been classified as demons. Maybe these beings have not even come to hurt anybody. Maybe
Yeah.
they're just
Appearing.
exploring the earth. That could be another origin for
the-
demons.
right.
I don't know. Some of them maybe look part like animals. I'm just speculating.
Right.
when I
But to
say
you,
that.
angels are real. They are real beings.
Yes.
Ah.
And in Judaism, we believe that angels are real beings. In fact, they're more real than human beings.
Really?
Humans. Yeah.
Uh,
This is the opinion of Maimonides.
Ah.
They're more real than what we are. So
Okay.
that means that we're part imaginary, part real. Angels are
more.
real, less imaginary.
So could we say then maybe in summation is God? We are all God's imagination, maybe.
In
Maybe.
a sense,
Yeah.
yes. And God is the only. Well, that's what Maimonides says.
Yeah.
God is the only real existence.
Right. There's only one source.
All
Yeah.
other existence is just projected
Oh, okay.
by
That
that one reality.
yes.
So the closer you are in a sense to God, the more real you are. This
Now,
is
in
why-
that sense, angels are more real.
So
Okay.
this is why
Yeah,
angels
yeah.
are closer to reality than
Because some people call them the first creation, isn't it? They were created before mankind, right?
Well, yeah, but that's a bit of a tricky statement
Yeah.
because when you look at it through linear time,
Oh, okay.
you can say that.
Yeah.
But we know time is not
Not linear,
We
non-linear,
know time
right,
doesn't
right,
even
right, right.
really exist.
Yeah. Okay.
There is
I'm
no
glad.
real before and after.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
one moment.
Yeah.
So we're all really created together.
Great. And we can always create our own future or co-create with God, right? So that we can change the future we don't want and produce the future we want and enjoy and live together in harmony, peace, and love and freedom and all the good things
Yes.
together, right?
Yes. In fact, if we believe the scientific theories of parallel universes,
Right.
I've heard it explained very well, very nicely,
Uh-huh.
where you can actually choose the universe that you live in.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's how our mind, the Schrödinger's cat experiment and all that you probably heard of.
Yes.
Yeah, we predetermine the liveliness of the cat before you open the box, right?
Right.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Our observation.
That's so interesting, you know?
Yes, and this is, remember, these are scientific. This is not theology.
This is not even theology, yeah,
This
yeah.
is scientific.
It's
You know, this is
cutting edge quantum physics, yes.
Right. You've probably heard of the double slit experiment.
That's the one, yeah, that's the one, yeah.
So
That's another one.
these experiments are demonstrating
Uh,
that you, the observer, are actually determining
Participating,
the fate,
maybe, yeah,
or participating in
yeah,
the fate
yeah,
of the action, right? So, you know, in Jewish theology, we believe in absolute freedom of choice.
Really?
Absolute
Wow, that's
freedom of
amazing.
choice. Absolutely.
I love to hear that, yes.
You know, and you can choose your path.
Yes.
You know, the Bible says, God says to the people in the Bible, I've given you life and death.
Yeah, you choose it, right, exactly,
Right, you
yeah,
choose it.
okay, that's
Nobody brings it upon you.
don't force you to, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
so we choose our destiny. We can choose which universe. You know, there's a universe out there that's peaceful, loving. In
And
the Bible, it's referred to as the Messianic era, but
okay, that's
look
good.
at it as
Yeah.
just a universe that we can walk into when we
But
condition ourselves.
do Jewish people ever use the word "the kingdom of heaven"? Is that a something that you guys use, or is that something
We do
only
use
the
it in
Christian?
some of our prayer
Oh, okay,
liturgy.
okay. And what would that mean, though? What would kingdom of heaven mean?
Kingdom of heaven is really predominantly used for the spiritual world, the world of the
Oh, okay,
angels.
okay.
But remember, a lot of biblical terms and
Uh-huh.
later Talmudic terms and terms that came into Jewish prayers are poetic
Yeah,
and metaphoric. We can't
exactly.
take them-
Just like in Chinese, same way. Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
Identical. You know, can't take them to you know.
No, yeah, not
can't take them
literally,
too
not
seriously.
literally.
Can't take
Yeah.
them literally.
Yeah, cannot be taken
No.
literally.
And
Yeah.
this is one of the difference between Western Bible scholars and Middle Eastern Bible scholars.
Yeah.
The Western Bible scholars didn't always understand
Right.
the primary
Context.
tool or the,
Yeah.
the literary context of metaphors
Right,
that are
right,
so
right.
dominant.
Oh yeah, and I know you know Mandarin, so in many of the poet of like Li Pa or some of the one that the very famous poet they wrote spiritual things too, very spiritual, but it's all very allegorical. It's not
Yes.
almost none of them are reality things that could be oh let me turn this off.